In this video, I'm going to be walking through the 5 different types of content that you should be posting on LinkedIn to win clients this year. I think it's safe to say that I'm a little bit obsessed with LinkedIn. I mean, I've even had to add it to my list of blocked websites when I'm in focus mode. Yeah, I've got a problem. But at least I haven't got a LinkedIn poster hanging up in our office. The good thing about this LinkedIn obsession is that I've gotten some really good insight over the years of what post types work well and which ones don't. So in this video, I'm going to run through the 5 different types of posts which do work well on LinkedIn and one that doesn't work that well, which you may find surprising. And I'm actually going to start with that one. And the first type of content that I want to talk about, which is by far the one which is the most discussed and sought after, is viral content. And on paper, this sounds like any business owner or marketing manager's dream because you can be getting loads and loads of people seeing your post, loads of exposure, and you just assume that the leads come flowing in. And I can tell you from personal experience that this just isn't the case. Earlier on this year, I posted a video on LinkedIn to celebrate our 4-year anniversary of Session Media and mimicked a Steven Bartlett photo. And if you want to watch the whole video, you can find it over at my YouTube channel. I'll link to it at the end, or you can see it through a link that I'll put in the description. As you can see here, Steven Bartlett actually commented on it, got a whole load of likes and a whole load of engagement. And if we go look at the analytics behind the scene, it got around 250,000 impressions and it racked up over 800 hours worth of view time. And while all the comments were wonderfully positive, and I had some old leads re-emerge from the woodwork who came back out and said, you know what, I'm actually going to start making, our deal a priority because I love the creative approach you guys have taken here. I even got a message from my hairdresser who used to cut my hair when I was 10. So it showed you how far the reach was. And it wasn't like it was an irrelevant message. I went through how the team had grown over the years, talked about our service a little bit. Now, while I think this did really good things for our brand exposure and like I mentioned, brought some old leads back into play, which ultimately then closed. Looking back 8 months down the line, it didn't win us a single bit of net new business. Viral posts shouldn't be a target of your marketing strategy. 1, they're unpredictable. 2, a lot of the time, unless your service or offering is actually to help people go viral, then creating a viral post isn't always going to help you win new business because it doesn't necessarily showcase your value, your expertise, or your credibility. It just showcases that you can appear in front of a lot of people. But hitting those home runs and getting that viral content just in order to win new business, and if that's the core of your strategy, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's probably not going to be that successful, especially if you're in a long sales cycle B2B organization. Maybe I'm just being a skeptic and viral posts do win. Maybe this post isn't, viewed enough to be even called a viral post, or maybe I just didn't quite do it right. But in my opinion, viral posts are great. They're nice. They really scratch that dopamine hit in your brain, and it's really cool to see something that you've created just be spread through the digital ecosystem, but I wouldn't create it as a part of my strategy. So moving on to the second type of content that you can post on LinkedIn, and this one is by far my favorite and the one that we've seen the most tangible results from, and that is thought leadership content. And here's a recent example of thought leadership content which I posted, and it was around creating a mid-funnel growth hacking strategy for B2B businesses in saturated niches. By no means did he get anywhere near the amount of impressions, likes and engagements and comments and reposts that my Steven Bartlett post did that went slightly viral. It got 16 comments, 45 likes, 2,500 impressions. So on the face of it, it's not that impressive. It's just another post which is done averagely well compared to my baseline. Because I outlined a strategy and I went into some really deep insight of some stuff which could work for B2B companies, which isn't spoken about very often, off the back of this post alone, I actually received 2 inbound leads who directly referenced this LinkedIn post. And that's why I love thought leadership content so much, is because you haven't got to have that big an audience, you haven't got to have that much engagement, you haven't even got to have that many people see the post to generate an ROI off the back of this content. I'd much rather have 100 people in my ideal target market see a strategic piece of content rather than 250,000 people just randomly through to my old hairdresser see a slightly broader piece of content which isn't going to move the needle and convert anyone. Ultimately, how can you showcase value, credibility and differentiate your content within your posts and showing that you guys think differently, think outside the box, and then people want to jump on that bandwagon, then your business can go in and help them implement that line of thinking. If you scroll through my LinkedIn posts, you'll find the majority of the stuff that I do go and post is thought leadership content. Here's a little bonus tip, and what I found is if anyone reaches out and mentions to me that they saw a LinkedIn post of mine and they liked it, or they'd like to start working with us, or explore a conversation about working with us, I immediately go and create a video around that content topic which I've just put out there. I then use that video as an ad to amplify that to my ideal customer audience across LinkedIn ads, because what I've done is already qualified that concept. I want to make sure I can capitalize on that momentum, create that new asset, and then push it out to my ideal customer personas. So it really removes the guesswork from messaging within your paid media strategy. The next piece of content I want to cover is around industry insight. Now, this one is really good for those who don't necessarily want to acquire really in-depth knowledge or perspective on certain industries and create thought leadership content like I just discussed before. And it makes a lot of sense because if you're a sales team and you've just joined a new industry and you're not sure if you're going to stay in it forever or don't have a technical expertise to ever become a deep technical expert, this category would be really good for you because ultimately you haven't got to create the insight. You can just become the hub which collects the information. And a really good example of this is people that hold things like podcasts, for example, or they collate updates that have happened in the platforms or collate other people's posts. They make it really easy and aggregate all the information out there and put it in easy digest and then tag the relevant resources within that information. It's a really good way of increasing your involvement and visibility within the industry without having to know every single nook and cranny and having worked in the industry ins and outs for years on end. We've even implemented somewhat of this strategy ourselves in part, in which someone has a really compelling story for our target audience market. It's great to jump on an interview with them and actually ask some questions about how the evolution of their team has been or the evolution of their thinking has been over a period of time, and we can share those findings with our audiences. Not only that, this process allows you to start creating connections within the industry who may help you further amplify your content in the future. This section here around industry insights and updates and collating and becoming the aggregator of information is probably going to be 90% of people posting on LinkedIn. Collating, collaborating and aggregating is really going to be a great way forward if you're looking to get involved in LinkedIn content creation, which wins you business, but you don't want to go down the thought leadership angle. The next piece of content is a bit lighthearted and it's all around personal stories. It's really nice to peel back the layers of your company or your own personal life and actually every now and then share certain elements of what's going on just so people can have a look behind that curtain. I think it really builds that bond, whether it's personal stories, whether it's even things like some of the team were in and we bought burritos. I mean, that's a kind of a personal story. Chicken, rice, guac.
Wonderful.
But don't get too carried away with this because a lot of people fall into the trap of posting personal stories or selfies every single day. And while these get really good engagement, lots of likes a lot of the time, someone posts a picture of a dog in the office, it gets 1,000 likes and it feels great. I can almost guarantee this is going to win no business for the person who's posting that. It's going to take up their time, it's going to make them feel good, and then when they do start posting thought leadership content or collated content, which they've spent a long time adding value to the industry for, and they only get 40 likes or even 10 likes, they're not going to want to post that again. They can post a picture of their dog and get a lot more likes. So why would they bother getting less likes? If you actually keep a detailed log in your CRM system every time a potential client or new customer talks about a post they've seen of yours and the topic it's on, you can then look back and say these topics, even though I've only got 10 likes on one comment on this post, converted into a user or converted into a lead for us. So we know that we don't really care about those big like and share numbers. Yes, they're great. Yes, it hits that dopamine spot, but it doesn't actually allow us to win new business. Moving on swiftly now, and a slight change in tact, I want to talk about when you want to launch a new product or a new service or just a new asset. Maybe you've got a new white paper, maybe you've got a new swipe file, and you want to get as much exposure as you possibly can. And we did this, for example, with the launch of our software Inflows. And rather than just posting out Inflows to the world with a link to it in the first comment to try and get maximum exposure, what we did is we created a long post here, again, kind of thought leadership piece of content as well as awareness type content, went through what this piece of software did, and then a screenshot to stand out a bit more in the feed. And what I said is, rather than here's a link to it, is if you'd like to be one of the first users, comment Inflows. And we can see here, we got roughly 162 comments, people going down and commenting Inflows. And what this does then is anytime someone comments on your post on LinkedIn, is it amplifies it to their audience. So what you can do is get these people to comment, it'll then show them to their audience. Not only will it give them exposure, but also increase that credibility because someone in their network is wanting to use it or look for it or ask for it as well. So rather than just posting it out there and just letting people come to your site and then bouncing and you haven't quite built up that brand equity within that product yet, you can then get someone to comment on it and then you can open up a chat within your messenger, have a conversation with them, say, here's the product, let me know if you have any questions, and then follow up down the road to say, how are you finding it, any things you'd like to see within the product, any things you do or don't like. What you have then is not just potentially a new user or a new lead, is you can have someone that you have a good chance of turning into an advocate. Okay, so we've had viral content, thought leadership content, industry insights, personal stories, and product launches. Now, how often should you post? I want to cover quickly on this because people say, you should post every day. And I love LinkedIn, and I don't post every day. If you can post every day, and posting every day means you're posting relevant and engaging and good, informative content that hits one of the criteria above every day, then go ahead. But I kind of found when I started posting every day, I started getting a bit samey. Some of the stuff wasn't really resonating. I wasn't 100% happy. So I post 1 or 2 times a week. I try and have real impact. Everyone has it in their feed where they see someone who posts every day, and then you just start to mute them because their content is pretty lukewarm. But we also have other people in our feed where we only see them post once a month or once a week. But we watch or read or consume the content because we know it's worth it and it's actually going to add value to our life. Anyway, as mentioned, here's a link to the Steve Bartlett video. Any questions, you guys, please whack them in the comments. It's been wonderful to speak to you guys today. Hope you found some value from that, and speak to you very, very soon.